Geico proudly presents the Sunday Night Anthem.
Sunday Night Football! Everybody watching!
It's Sunday night. Waiting all day for Sunday night. All right, what a night, it's finally here. Sunday Night Football's kicking into high gear. The stars have arrived, come on, get up and cheer. Hey Jack, it's a fact, the show's back in town. Giants and the boys in a monster showdown. The stadium's rocking, time to crank up the sound. The NFL's best have come to play. Coast to coast, there's just one thing left to say. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. The tough give up in a primetime fight. More than a game, it's every fan's right. That's why we're waiting all day for Sunday night.
We're having some fun now.
Unbelievable! What a start to the season!
This is wild.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
Welcome, everybody, to the Swizz Sports Show. And today we are here with none other than my dad, Big Mike, as the people on Dean College know him as. Our family knows him as Sumner, an entertainment coach, motor coach driver who's driven athletes all over the world, all over the North America, I should say. Mike Sumner, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Tyler. Thank you very much. How are you? First of all, I want to congratulate you on your show. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And I'm looking forward to this podcast with you.
And we're really going to get into it today. We're going to talk about our playoff picks, our year-end awards for the NFL. We're going to lead off the show with the coach. It's been a week for football, to say the least. It's been a very crazy week for football, starting off with Michigan winning the national championship. Congratulations to them. And yeah, let's just get into it. Pete Carroll steps down as the Seattle Seahawks head coach, now oversees the team as an advisor. Nick Saban retires from Alabama after 6 national championships in his illustrious career. No doubt that he's the greatest head coach in college football of this generation, to say the least. But the big one, Mike, that I don't think a lot of us saw coming, but in a sense that we did, was Bill Belichick departing New England.
What else can you say about the guy? You kind of had a feeling something like this was going to happen toward the end of this year. You look at everything that has happened throughout the last 24 seasons with Bill Belichick. And going into this season, the problems they had winning games, the issues they had on offense, changing quarterbacks, so many times, not having the right fit for quarterbacks, not having the right quarterback in there for whatever situation. It was a tough year. And I think that with this year being tough, just added to Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft's decision that it's time to move on. I had a feel in the beginning of the year that this was going to be Bill's last year, that he wanted to move on. And as the year got more and more, Tyler, and the team started playing the way they were playing, the offense not being the offense that we've known over the past 23 and a half years that New Englanders got accustomed to, when you knew it wasn't there and that they're in a rebuilding stage, you kind of had the feeling the more games that they were losing, the more frustrated Belichick was getting, and the more frustrating Robert Kraft was getting. And in my honest opinion, I think it's time. It's time for him to move on. And the era in New England has run its course.
Yeah, I agree with you, but you look at the backtrack record of the last 4 years with Belichick in New England. He's only had one winning season. Three of the past 4 seasons for Belichick have been losing seasons. And that all tracks back to the loss of his system quarterback, Tom Brady. Belichick wasn't prepared to have another quarterback in New England other than Brady, because we all thought Brady would retire as a Patriot, and that wasn't the case. Brady left New England ultimately to win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. Once Brady left, I kind of figured that this was going to be the downward case of the New England Patriots. We all knew it because in order for a coach to be successful, he has to have his quarterback. He has to have his quarterback. And Belichick's quarterback for the last 20 years or so was Tom Brady.
Absolutely. We can't agree what has transpired and what has gone in the direction of winning and a dynasty like we've seen here in New England. That duo of Belichick and Brady will never be repeated. And if you go and look back, Tyler, like you said, the quarterback is reason that New England was so successful because of that duo. But also, we also have to look at the teams and the players that Belichick had over those 20-plus seasons. You had Teddy Bruschi, you had Ty Law, you had Ronnie Harrison, you had Mike Vrabel. You had guys and you had offense and defensive lines that were the best in the game during that tenure. Now, you go and look at what Belichick's done. 333 career wins, 300 regular season wins, 21 winning seasons, 17 AFC East titles, 6 Super Bowl wins, 9 AFC titles. You'll never see that happen again. Bill Belichick is definitely the greatest quarterback in NFL, greatest coach in NFL history. This will never get repeated again in our time anyways. So congratulations to Bill. Best of luck to him in what he decides to do going forward as an NFL coach or whatever he does. It's been a great run here in New England. And if these fans of New England should take what they've seen over the last 24 seasons and cherish that. Because for the young New England fan who was growing up with this team and watched them, they will never see another repeat of the last 24 seasons anywhere in the NFL.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our playoff picks, because it is wild card weekend today. It is wild card weekend tomorrow, and it is wild card weekend on Monday. The first game being said, Houston Texans, Cleveland Browns. I think, first of all, this game's going into overtime, maybe 2 overtimes. This could be the best game of the week. These teams are both very balanced. Joe Flacco came out of his retirement home, started playing football again, gave the Browns hope. But on the other side of the football, you have C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. And what I'll say about C.J. Stroud here, Mike, is he's been nothing short of incredible as a rookie. Coming from Ohio State, he was the number 2 overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. And his numbers this season are insane. He had a game, 470 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. That's unheard of for a rookie. Tom Brady wasn't even doing that in his rookie year. And this kid comes into the league. Not only does he get the Texans to a playoff berth, he gets the Texans the division title for the AFC South. This is a Texans team. May I remind you, that was just a 3-win team 2 years ago.
It's really amazing to see what C.J. Stroud has done. And when you think not only what he's done to bring Houston to the playoffs, but what he's done since he came back from his injury. You remember he was out for a couple of weeks. To come back and to take over and resume where you left off, like you never got hurt and you never left the game for a couple of weeks, that's the part that a lot of people have overseen. This kid is an upcoming star in the NFL. If you look at his history with Alabama, where he came from.
You mean Ohio State?
Ohio State, excuse me. We were just talking about Nick Saban, that's why. You look at his history with Ohio State, where he came from, the way that he lives his life, and how he believes in himself, and that his faith is a big part of that. He has taken a team, like you said, that nobody ever thought would even be near playoff talk. If you looked at the Texans last year, you wouldn't think that they would even get 5 wins this year.
But what did I say in the beginning of the season?
You did. You called it. I have to give it to you. You called that Houston was going to be a playoff team this year. And a great call by you. The thing I like about CJ Stroud is the way that he sees the whole field. He sees the whole field, not just in front of him, but he sees what's around him.
And if I may, another rookie on that Texans team on the other side of the football is Will Anderson from Alabama. The kid's a beast.
Oh, this kid, you can't even call him a beast. He's beyond that. He's all over the place. You don't know where he's going to come at you, left, right, in front of you, behind you. And as we get into the playoffs, and especially today's game, it's going to show.
Yep, I agree. So with my pick today, I'm going to go with a final score of 34-23. Houston wins.
Wow.
Stroud's going to have a field day today. It's in Houston. He's going to have the hometown crowd. It's the first time the Houston Texans have hosted a playoff game in Houston since 2013.
The crowd is definitely going to play into it. But we can't, at the same time, you mentioned how Joe Flacco has come back, Tyler, how he's played incredible football and led this Cleveland Browns team to the playoffs. I think what we're overlooking in this game is Cleveland's defense. Cleveland has the #1 defense in the league. Myles Garrett, you talk about a beast. This guy is like not human. He's someone we have not seen at the top level of his game like this in many, many years. I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. The crowd is going to play a lot into it. But we also one thing that we have to watch during this game, Tyler, is how CJ Stroud is going to handle Cleveland's blitz, how they're going to handle Myles Garrett. And if they can contain Garrett and contain that Cleveland front five, Cleveland should be held at minimum. And Houston should come out with the victory going on to the division round.
I just want to say this on the record that before the playoffs even started, which it is 1:30, so they have not started yet, I have the Texans in the AFC Championship.
You did.
I just want to put that on the record right now that you heard it here first. It will be the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC Championship. And what's my shocking prediction is I could see the Texans going to the Super Bowl if Stroud plays the way he's been playing. I really could. I could see a Texas Super Bowl this year. But we'll get into that later. Moving
I
on to
won't
the
get
next
into
game, though.
I won't get into the championship picks just yet. I know we're gonna get into that toward the end, but I will give you my pick for this game. Like I said, I believe it's going to be a very close game. The crowd's going to be totally ecstatic.
Shout out
Totally
to Roger Starback in the
your
background
mind.
over there.
I do have Houston in this game also, but I got it a lot closer than you do. I got Houston winning this game 24-21, and the MVP of the game is going to be CJ Stroud. It's going to be a last-minute bomb with roughly 2.5 minutes to go in the game for the game winner.
I just want to say, shout out to Roger Starback in the background over there. Signed Roger Starback helmet. One of the innovator, the inventor of the Hail Mary with Drew Pearson in that iconic play. Moving on to the second game with negative 27 temperatures. And before we even talk about the game, okay, I need to get something off my chest. I am so sick of seeing Taylor Swift on my television when I am trying to watch a football game. This is not a concert. This is not her world tour. This is a National Football League playoff game. I am sick of it. I do not care about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce dating, okay? Because we know how it's going to end. Travis Kelce is going to break up with her, and she's going to write a love song about him, and it's going to be a heartbreak song. That's how they all end with Taylor Swift, okay? But nonetheless, negative 27-degree temperatures today in the game. Tua Tagovailoa is 0-4 with games under 45 degrees in temperature, and Miami's going into Arrowhead. This is going to be a very tough game for Miami to win. I could see Miami doing it. I know there was questions where if Travis Kelce would be playing this week coming off the COVID-19 list. He is activated. I just think your winner ultimately is going to be Kansas City because they're built more for the environment. And Mahomes in the playoffs is like Tom Brady in the playoffs. He's a different animal when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, you're right. He is. And I can tell you from experience, from being in Kansas City, just when it's a windy day and being in that parking lot at Arrowhead Stadium, when that wind whips around, even on a fall or nice summer night, that wind whips around that stadium and the top of that hill. It's like how it was windy here last night. Now you add the cold in. You're talking it's going to be -4 degrees at game time.
With wind chill.
Everything's going to be frozen. The wind's going to be whipping up. It's going to be a very, very ugly playing game. I do not believe it's going to be a high-scoring game. I do not believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to come in. They're going to light up the game in the air. It's not going to happen because that ball is going to be so cold. Those guys' fingertips in -4 degrees when that ball hits them. It's going to stink.
It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
I believe this game is going to come down to the running game, who can run the ball the best, and possibly the kicking game, which that might be impossible depending on the field conditions. I believe this is going to be a low-scoring game, and this game's going to come down to who makes a critical mistake. Is it going to be Tua or is it going to be Mahomes? Now, we all know that Tua has gone and he's made mistakes. He can throw that interception at any time, like any other quarterback. But if you look at it the other way as well, Tyler, Kansas City has not had the greatest of seasons like we've seen them going into AFC championships or Super Bowl runs over the past couple of years. They have their issues. Do I think Travis Kelce is going to play this afternoon, later on this evening? It all depends. It's a game time decision. But
the thing is, Mike, with Kelce, if he is still feeling those COVID-like symptoms, I think you're putting his health at risk playing in -27-degree weather.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because what happens, when you're already having trouble breathing and then you get into that cold air, it makes it even worse. And even with Kelce playing this afternoon, if he did, I personally don't think he would be a big factor. As we've seen this year, yeah, he's gotten his catches, he's gotten his yardage.
It's
but
Taylor Swift.
He's
She's a
also
distraction
dropped quite
for
a
him.
few balls, and like let's just keep the game on TV. She don't need to be on TV.
Thank you. Thank you.
We all know that, she's a great person. She loves the game. Obviously, she's there to support him. I get all that behind her for all that. But for the new stations in the media, keep her off of TV.
Thank you. And in my personal opinion, Carrie Underwood's been the better singer over the last 10 or so years that's been shown in NFL games. Okay, we're going to keep it at that. But moving on now to the score of the game, I got a score of 14-7 Kansas City.
Yeah, I have a close one just like that myself. I got Kansas City 17-13. Like I said, I believe it's going to come down to the running game in this game, and the weather is definitely going to have a factor as the night goes on. No question about it. So this one ought to be a shootout in Kansas City, but I got KC winning 17-13.
All right, moving on to the next game. We have only 2 games tomorrow now because one of them got moved, that being Bills Steelers got moved in pending the coming snowstorm that Buffalo was just hit with. So let's talk about a game with major stakes. Lions-Rams. This is, to me, this is the hardest game to pick. I really think so. Matt Stafford going back to Detroit for the first time since he was traded. Obviously we know what he was able to do in Detroit. I mean, the guy played with a freaking popped out shoulder in the middle of a game with a broken clavicle. Jared Goff playing his former team for the first time. I think this is my first game where I say I don't know, and I just want to watch it on TV. If I have to pick, I'm sorry, Detroit, but I'm going with the Rams simply because Stafford has the experience.
Wow. I didn't expect that out of you. First of all, let's just get a little bit into this game. Look at both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks were traded to the opposite teams. We all know that Goff had his problems and his issues out in Los Angeles. We all know that Stafford had his issues in Detroit. What happened when both players got traded to the teams they're on now? Careers got turned around. Both of them playing phenomenal football. Goff is having a career year for himself. What he's done in Detroit for himself and for that team has been nothing short of remarkable. Then you take a look at the 2 head coaches. Let's take a look for a moment at Sean McVay. Sean McVay's a young coach. He inherited a young team. He built that team. Now you look at the weapons that Stafford's had over the years, and you look at the weapons he has this year.
Puka Nacua.
You got Puka.
No, Puka
You
Nacua.
have Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that defense. You got Donald. That defense is really come alive the last 6-7 weeks. Matthew Stafford has really played at the top of his game the last
1 second.
weeks or so.
After this meeting expires, I'm going to run downstairs, send you a new Zoom link so we can combine the two because we only got 10 minutes left in this one.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do that, but continue nonetheless.
So you look at the way Sean McVay has built this team. I like what he's done. We know that last year he had a tough year. We know the beginning of this year started off tough for the Rams. But as they've built and as Stafford's gotten more healthy, we're starting to see what the Rams are doing. And the Rams are a force to reckon with right now in the NFC. There's no question about it. They're playing great ball. They have a running game. Defense is solid. This game is going to come down to defense,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. So
Mhm.
now let's look at the other side of the ball. Look at the defensive side. Look what Dan Campbell has done with that Detroit Lions team. How many years has it been since 1993 since the Lions have won a division title?
The Lions have won a
taken-
division title since the Lions won a division title sooner than the Dallas Cowboys won another Super Bowl.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Sad but true, folks. Sad but true.
You look at the way Campbell has built that team, the way he's built that defense, and how solid that defense is. This is going to be a shootout in Detroit. And I'll tell you, Ford Field is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be loud. The city of Detroit is excited for this. But this is where it all ends for them. Because I think Matthew Stafford is coming home to Detroit. He's going to show Detroit ownership and the fans of Detroit that he is at the top of his game, that he is going to come out of here the better quarterback with the win, send the Rams to the next round,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to send Jared Goff home.
Agreed. I agree with
the Rams
that.
are going to upset. I think this game could be the overtime game of the weekend, and I got the Rams winning this one 31-28.
I disagree with the overtime. I think I'll give you my overtime game when we get there. Like I said, I don't know who to pick. I'm going based off just experience, and I'm going to give it to Stafford. But how does the game end, you ask? It doesn't end with a field goal. It doesn't end with a touchdown. Aaron Donald does what Aaron Donald does best at the end of the game, and he gets a game-winning sack, just like he did in the Super Bowl.
Wow, I can see that. I can see that. And that's going to be the problem for Jared Goff. If they can't contain Aaron Donald and he gets loose like he does, and I mean, we've seen it happen against many teams. He gets loose and breaks through that middle. Forget it. He's coming at you like a freight train. That's a great point. You know, and
I just want to remind people what Aaron Donald is capable of, okay? Aaron Donald was in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, held Brady to 13 points, but got through that New England offensive line like it was nothing. And that offensive line had Rob Ninkovich. It had, I forgot who else New England has. I'm not a New England fan. I don't pay attention to New England. So in the comments below, tell me who was on that offensive line. But Aaron Donald is one of the few who sacked the GOAT with ease. And I've said this before, and I know you've disagreed with me on this before. As much as you love Reggie White, the top 3 defensive players of all time, in my opinion, when you're looking at the numbers and everything like that, it goes Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Donald, Reggie White. When you look at the numbers, Aaron Donald has something that Reggie White never got to play for. And that's a Super Bowl ring.
okay, you take that out. You take that out of the equation.
Right. You take that out of the question. You take that out of the equation, but you look at the career numbers, aside from sacks. Actually, Aaron Donald may have him beat in sacks. I may have to check that. Aaron Donald and Lawrence Taylor have better career numbers than Reggie White. And the reason I put Lawrence Taylor at 1 is, like, the reason why everybody else doesn't. And Dad, as a Cowboys fan, you can agree with me on this. If you were suiting up on offense and you were suiting up as a quarterback and you were told, hey, we're putting you on Lawrence Taylor today, you would consider getting out of the same plane that you came out from, going back to the airport, because Lawrence Taylor was what was in children's nightmares for NFL fans.
Well, I mean, LT was, he back in the day, he was the one you didn't want to face on the other side of the sideline. He was the one that would come at you when you never saw it coming. And if he hits you, forget it. He's running you over. Now you talk about Reggie White and Aaron Donald. Like you said, we'll agree to disagree on this. But you can almost put them in the same body. They almost had the same style play. The thing with Aaron Donald is he's a spin guy in the middle. He can spin around on you right in the middle and break through that middle. Reggie White always came on the outside, and Reggie had that classic spin move on the outside. You couldn't get by him, God rest his soul. Reggie was one of a kind, and the godfather of football and defense. There'll never be anyone to compare to Reggie White, in my opinion.
See, I'm gonna look at it like this. Aaron Donald is the modern day version of Reggie White. And
Agreed.
And Micah Parsons is the modern day version of Lawrence Taylor.
Absolutely.
We're gonna end this meeting.
Later.
We're gonna end this meeting right now, but folks, don't go anywhere. The Swizz Sports Show will be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to the Swizz Sports Show, presented by Kim's Cool Creations. And we've talked about the Steelers. Not the Steelers yet. We will talk about them coming up. We've talked about the Rams, Lions. We've talked about Texans, Browns, and we've talked about Chiefs, Dolphins, as well as Belichick, Saban, and Carroll. Now let's get into the second slate of games. We're going over to Monday. We're saving. If you're wondering what game we're saving for last, it's the star on the helmet you see in the back there. But let's go ahead and get into it now. My overtime game, Steelers-Bills. I'm surprised the Steelers even made it that far. To be honest, I saw the Steelers as a 5-win team this season. Mom, don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. But I saw the Steelers as a 5-win team, and they exceeded expectations nonetheless. But unfortunately for Buffalo, the show ends here. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning tonight by a score of 19-16. I have Pittsburgh beating Buffalo. And the reason I say that, one, most importantly, I don't want my mom to kill me. I love my podcast, and I don't want my show to get canceled. Second, do I truly believe that Pittsburgh is going to win? I fooled you all. Pittsburgh is not winning this game in the cold. Pittsburgh will not get above 10 points in this game. Buffalo is going to squash Pittsburgh. And the reason I say that is because it's a snow game. Buffalo's environment in the playoffs is like no other. I have it going to overtime, but ultimately we know what happens with Josh Allen in overtime games. If you know, you know. Buffalo Bills win 34-27 in overtime.
Wow, you were like really.
I'm a Cowboys fan. I have no sympathy for Steelers fans. I'm sorry.
You were just like brutal on Steelers fans right there. That was epic.
I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. keep sponsoring my podcast, please.
Let me tell you something there, kid. The Buffalo Bills have had issues this year. Drop balls, Allen throwing picks, defense missed tackles, Diggs missing balls.
But they beat the team that's on the star in the helmet.
They had one strong game all year, that I think, in my opinion, where they showed their running game. We know who that was against. It was against us. We got blown out. Okay. Buffalo's had issues all year long.
Yep.
They've had, those issues have occurred week after week. We saw it again last week, even though they won. Allen threw 2 picks. You look at that, they're playing at home. I give them that home field advantage. I'm not going to give them the cold because it gets just as cold in Pittsburgh. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, what they've done this season. They've gone through 3 quarterbacks. Pickett got hurt. Trubinsky was useless. Now they bring back Mason Rudolph. This kid has carried this team to the playoffs. He has made this team, offense and defense, believe in themselves again. Head coach Mike Tomlin has made this team believe in themselves again. This Pittsburgh Steelers team is going to be without TJ Watt Monday. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to rise up to the occasion. They're going to go into Pittsburgh, whether it's cold, whether it's snowy, whatever the weather is, and they're going to come out with the win, 27-20, and Buffalo's going bye-bye. And that's the bottom line. Because I said so. Pittsburgh is going to the next round. Buffalo's going home in the cold, in the snow, in Buffalo. Bye-bye. Back to the pasture, boys.
Is that what you think? It doesn't matter what you think. Because the fact of the matter is, I hate the Steelers. I'm a Cowboys fan. I hate the Steelers. So yeah, I'm going Buffalo. You're going Pittsburgh. That's our first split. That's our first split of the day.
I just,
But now we got to move on to the next one. And I can't wait to talk about this one because I've prepared a full shoot on this game. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First of all,
baby, let's do it.
First of all. Cry, Eagles, cry. Your quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Okay? See what I did there? I'm unique, aren't I? AJ Brown, and this was the breaking news. AJ Brown is ruled out for today's game.
Yes, I did read that.
Jalen Hurts might not even be playing. We don't know the status of Jalen Hurts yet. And this Philly team has just fallen apart in the back half of the season. Something went wrong. Now, granted, the injuries this season to Philadelphia have been crucial. We both know that. But I'm going to say this. Okay? Tampa Bay beats Philadelphia, but that's not the bombshell. The bombshell is this. If Philadelphia loses in the first round to Tampa Bay, Nick Sirianni's job's on the line. That's what I'm saying.
You basically,
because you start off an 11-1 season and then you lose the last 5 out of 6 after just coming off a season where you were in the Super Bowl. Where you were, in my opinion, as much as I'm a Cowboys fan, I'll acknowledge it. The Eagles were the best team on paper and on the field last season. They should have won that Super Bowl over Kansas City. They should have. You and I have both said it. They should have won that game, and they blew it. Now, Sirianni's job's on the line. I think Philadelphia is going to have a very, very busy offseason. Philadelphia is going to go after people during this offseason. Nonetheless, I got Tampa Bay winning 27-14. Philly's run ends here.
You know, you and I have talked about this off the record, and we have both agreed what you just said. Philadelphia starts out the season 11-1. Now all of a sudden, you start to see things go wrong. They lose the first game. They lose the second game. They win the third game. Then they lose 3 more. You've lost 5 out of 6. You're going into the playoffs. We all know injuries happen on any team. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to take a page out of Hall of Fame coach Bill Belichick's book. Next man up. Do your job. That's for every team. Okay, these guys are professional athletes. We know they get hurt. We know injuries are involved. Everybody blames the head coach. Yes, the head coach is to blame. He's the head coach. It all falls down on him. But the head coach is not on the field playing the game. I'm going to tell you what I believe happened with Philadelphia. When Philadelphia lost the first couple games, okay, they figured, you know what? We'll be all right. We'll be fine. Then when they lost another one, turmoil started happening in the locker room. I believe that turmoil got worse and worse as the weeks went on, as the losses came. There were discrepancies and arguments within the coaching staff. We saw that on the sideline. Then you had the incident, if you remember correctly, Tyler,
the security guard
happened with their security guard. Yep. And when that happened and those players were going at it amongst each other, that told me right there that not just with the security guard, that there's turmoil within the team. Sirianni, we've seen on the sidelines, arguing with players, fighting with players, giving his mouth. They've been giving their mouths back. That's a sign that there are issues within your locker room that as a head coach, you need to get under control.
Yep.
You're supposed to be a team. You need to work together. Keep your issues off the field. Okay? And to me, that's what's destroyed this team. Of course, injuries as well. Now, with that said, let's look at Tampa Bay. How Tampa Bay has played and how Tampa Bay has kept it together. Baker Mayfield has done a phenomenal job in his first year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We can't deny that. And Tampa Bay still has a solid offense and defense. You still got Mike Evans. You got your running game. You know, Tampa Bay has done some really, really great things heading into this playoff run.
Yep,
they're playing down in Tampa. That stadium's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. The Tampa fans are excited. I do not see Philadelphia scoring many points. I see Tampa Bay coming in, controlling this game offensively and defensively, and making it quick bird feed out of Philadelphia. I got Tampa Bay winning this game 24-17. I just don't see Philadelphia coming into this arena and stadium and this atmosphere, if you will, and take it over. I just can't see it. And we all know that Hurts has been ill. He's not been feeling well. You know, number one, that's one of the big problems, Tyler. Jalen Hurts, his mentality level is not there where it should be as a quarterback in this environment, in the playoff environment.
Yeah, and
that's what's
if I
gonna hurt
may,
them. That's what's
if
gonna
I
hurt them.
may, if I may, Dad, the thing is too, we could argue that Dallas has a lot riding on them, in tomorrow's game against Green Bay, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I think this game for Philadelphia goes beyond playoffs. There is a lot riding on this for Philadelphia, stipulation rise. If Philadelphia loses in the first round, Nick Sirianni could be without a head coaching job. Okay, number one. Number two,
Excuse me.
and I've been saying this. Philly could be looking at new receivers. Philly could be looking at a new backfield. And the reason I say that, as good as AJ Brown is, I'm going to come out and say it, and I don't like to cuss on my show, but I'm just going to say it straight up because of like the field I represent. AJ Brown treats the media like shit. If you've seen the clips, he does. They ask him the questions that need to be asked, and if you're an athlete, you answer jobs. Like, you think Michael Jordan went out there wanting to answer questions about whether or not his addiction with gambling led to his father's death or anything like that? No, but he answered them, didn't he? AJ Brown should answer questions simple as, where do you think this Eagles team is going to go? You've had back-to-back blown-out losses. What needs to happen with the team? There you go. You answer the questions. I think he's been a locker room cancer so far for this Eagles team. Nonetheless, I see AJ Brown being a trade target for teams to come in this season. The only two receivers I see safe in Philadelphia right now are Julio Jones, who's surprisingly been good this season for Philadelphia.
Yes.
And Devontae Smith, who I love watching that kid. That kid.
I agree. And I'll even take it a step further, Tyler, if I may. I think what's going to happen, Philadelphia loses. I kind of think, even though Sirianni won a Super Bowl, I kind of think you have to let him go and you have to part ways and fire him.
He never won a Super Bowl. He made the Super Bowl.
Made the Super Bowl, excuse me. I think you have to let him go because of the fact you started off
11-1.
And you finished
exactly
losing the last 5 or 6. Your defense is, number one, they have to take care of that defensive secondary. Philadelphia's receivers are so apt to being burnt. If they don't get up on you quickly, the offensive receivers are just going to burn them. And we've seen that happen. But I really do see, like you said, I see Sirianni getting fired if this Philadelphia team does not make it to the next round.
Yep.
And I don't see him getting past Tampa Bay.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100% on that. But now let's talk about our game, because I know you've been waiting for this.
Let's go. Let's go, buddy.
The Dallas Cowboys face the Green Bay Packers in a vengeance game. And to quote the great Stephen A. Smith, this is the easiest road to the Super Bowl since the 94-95 season for the Dallas Cowboys. It absolutely is. Number one, I'd like to take credit for saying what Dallas needed to do in the beginning of the season to get into the playoffs, and that was go into the playoffs on fire if they wanted a legitimate shot. And they're on fire. Now, the struggle with this Cowboys team, and to say what your good friend Bob Sousa has said numerous times, they can't win on the road. They struggle on the road.
Absolutely.
Versus good teams over 500. At home, forget it. You're not beating that team at home. You're not beating the Cowboys at home. I'm gonna say that Dallas does win this game 27-20. Dallas finally gets their vengeance against Green Bay because I'm going to say this right now, and the reason I'm this close to the microphone is because we know goddamn well that Des Bryant caught that football in 2014.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do.
We got screwed. Okay. Now, I believe we will wake up on Monday morning. Okay. We're going to wake up on Monday morning. Right. And when we wake up on Monday morning, okay, we will wake up Monday morning with the legendary head coach. Excuse me while I find the clip here. But we will wake up Monday morning with a happy Troy Aikman. We will wake up Monday morning and we will hear Jimmy Johnson say this.
Just got one thing to say.
We will be hearing that Monday morning. I'm convinced. And then, well, here's the thing, Dad. Before we continue talking about the Green Bay game, we have to look at the road ahead for Dallas. First, say they win this game, they get another game at home. They'll have to play the winner of Detroit versus LA. And that's going to be a tough game. But the thing is, no matter who they beat in that game, they're going to have to go on the road and play San Francisco. But this is the Swizz bombshell right here, folks. San Francisco loses to Tampa Bay next week. And the reason is because San Francisco starters have had 3 weeks off.
Wow. Yeah,
Okay.
really.
So Dallas wins. Dallas wins 27-20. CeeDee Lamb has a game. CeeDee Lamb's the best receiver in football. I don't want to hear no slander on CeeDee Lamb. And enough with the Dak Prescott slander because of the season he had last year with the 16 interceptions. Yeah, we get it. Okay, he had a bad year last year. But this year, in the words of Dak Prescott, here we go. Here we go. It is time to be fired up as a Dallas Cowboys fan, to say the least. I could go on and on about the Cowboys right now in the playoffs, but I have to let my guest talk because if I don't, he'll be extremely mad at me and he'll probably throw his iced coffee out the electric scooter.
First of all, let me just say that you really took it to another level. Okay. Now, I'm going to go even further. Okay. I'm going to pull a little Stephen A on you. Remember the beginning of the year, everybody said Dallas Cowboys going to be the same old team this year, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Stephen A. Smith kept downgrading Dak Prescott, saying how Dak would never get it done, how Dak is this and how Dak is that. Stephen A. Smith, let me tell you something, buddy. Dak Prescott, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, over 4,000 yards this year. 16-0 at home. Consistently. Yes, we know they've been a horrible team on the road, but they've done what they've had to do. You can only beat the people on your schedule that you play. We know that they have been a bad team against good teams, but they have stuck together. They have gone. They have done what they've had to do and win the games they've had to win. That's why they're where they're at the top of the NFC. That's why they have a home game. That's why if they win this weekend, they're going to go and get a second home game to the NFC Championship run. Are they going to play San Francisco? Are they going to play Tampa Bay? We don't know. But I will tell you, this Dallas Cowboy team right now is meant for the deep run. To me, you have right now the best offense that's playing at the top of their game. Now, I know everybody's going to say San Francisco's the top offense and this and that, and Brock Purdy is a great quarterback and all this. Okay? The kid's a good quarterback. No question about it. But I'll revert back to that Baltimore game. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, it's only one game and this and that. Any team, any coach that watches that game will see how the Baltimore Ravens exposed and tore that San Francisco defense apart. Now, if you revert back to the game that we played San Francisco, yes, we got blown out. We also had a lot of injuries defensively. We did not have our starting offensive line. Okay, if you remember correctly, Tyler, I told you when we played that San Francisco game that if we get a rematch with them, with our offensive line, and we're healthy, San Francisco is going to get beat. I don't care if we play them in San Francisco. I don't care if we play them in Dallas. You look at both teams. San Francisco will get beat if we play them in a rematch. I will guarantee it here. I'll guarantee it now. With that said, we cannot overlook what the Green Bay Packers have done. They were not expected to make the playoffs. And another team just like the Houston Texans. Jordan Love has come in. He's done what he's had to do. He's played great football in the last 7 weeks. He got Green Bay to the playoffs. He's got that offense clicking. Now, their defense, that's another story. Their defense has issues stopping the run. They have issues stopping the pass. Okay? I believe what's going to happen in this game, Dak Prescott is going to have a career game in this game at home. He's going to pass for at least 385 with 5 touchdowns. Dallas is going to go absolutely nuts on offense in this game. Parsons coming up the middle. He's hungry. That defense is hungry. DeMarcus Lawrence is hungry. This Dallas team is hungry. Mike McCarthy is hungry to beat his former team. Okay? Dallas has something more to prove than probably any team in the playoffs right now. You have to win Sunday, and you have to get into the second round to get that second home game and get to the NFC Championship. Yep. As Dallas fans, yes, we suffer. We talk trash about our team. That's because we have a passion for our team. We have a passion for our team that a lot of people don't understand. Whether we win, whether we lose, we stick with our team.
Yep.
Okay. This Dallas team right now is hungry. They're going to go out there tomorrow. That crowd in that stadium is going to be absolutely on cloud 9. And I'll tell you, the atmosphere that's going to be in that stadium tomorrow, waving white towels, waving the white shirts, the team's going to be pumped up. I'm going to be pumped up. I can't wait for this game to happen tomorrow. Let's go. Dallas is going to win this game in a blowout. You heard it here first. Prescott's going to go off the wall for 5 touchdowns. CD's going to go for 167 or better. And guess who's going to be the star of the game? Tony Pollard. He's going to break through for over 100 yards rushing tomorrow. Dallas wins this game 44-21. Game, set, match. Packers are going back home to Lambeau with the loss.
Okay. All right, now for the time on the Swizz Sports Show, it is time for the year-end awards. So let's get into it. Coach of the Year first, I got going to DeMeco Ryans of the Houston Texans.
You have to give it to DeMeco. What he's done with that Houston Texans team, you look at that team last year, 3-13. they were just atrocious. I mean, they were a laughing stock in the NFL last year. And you look to see what they've done this year with the NFL draft. I mean, picking up CJ Stroud, picking up Williams. His coaching staff has been phenomenal. I can't see any other head coach getting NFL Coach of the Year except D'Amico. He's done a great job. That Texans team is a force to reckon with, in my opinion, as an underdog in the playoffs. I expect him to get Coach of the Year.
All right. Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's a no-brainer. I mean, we don't even have to sit here and talk about it. We can just say it's CJ Stroud. It's a no-brainer.
Yes. There's no question about it.
Moving on to the defensive Rookie of the Year. I got Will Anderson of the Houston Texans. Now, had he not get hurt, I would have given it to Christian Gonzalez on the New England Patriots.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. That is a real tough one. As much as I love Anderson, as much as the kid is a beast, and you know that I'm not a Patriots fan, especially living in New England.
Yep.
I have to give it to Gonzalez.
You would have had to, but you can't anymore because he got hurt so early on.
Yeah, exactly.
He got hurt in week 4 of the season against
that was my pick. I would definitely pick him. I think he did a phenomenal job with the Patriots. And one thing we can't take away from the Patriots season this year, if I may for a moment, that defense in New England kept them in every single game. That defense played hard. And I think that that's something that New England fans are overlooking. You know, the defense kept us in the games. I mean, you look at the games that New England lost. They were close games.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, New England almost beat the Eagles in the first week.
Yes, absolutely.
But now moving on. My pick for defensive Rookie of the Year is Will Anderson of the Houston Texans. Offensive Player of the Year. See, this is where it's tricky because I have a feeling that whoever doesn't get the MVP is going to get the Offensive Player of the Year. So I'm going to save Offensive Player of the Year for later. Defensive Player of the Year. I wanted to say Micah, but I can't. It's not Micah Parsons, it's Myles Garrett. It's Myles Garrett.
Wow.
It's Myles Garrett.
You know, I can't disagree with you. As much as I love Micah, as much as I love the way that he plays the game, his style, you have to give it to Myles Garrett. What he's done with that Cleveland defense, and the way that defensive front has played and how he's gotten in there every single time. That one's a toss-up for me. That can go either way. You look at Micah, and you can't take away from him anything he's done this year as far as play-wise, how he's played the game this year, how he's made his adjustments. That one's a real toss-up, but I believe that Defensive Player of the Year, you have to give to Myles Garrett, without a doubt. You know, whether Cleveland goes any deeper in the playoffs or not, we do not know. But I would say Myles Garrett's a lock for Defensive Player.
All right. Comeback Player of the Year, we're going to skip over because we all know who it's going to go to, even though it should be Joe Flacco. But Comeback Player of the Year is going to DeMar Hamlin, given his situation. We know that. But,
you know, we know that it's probably going to go to him. I wouldn't even put Joe Flacco in that category. But I will tell you that my Comeback Player of the Year is Jared Goff. And I'll tell you why Jared Goff. You look at when he was with the Rams, he was absolutely horrible. I mean, he couldn't get out of his own way. He couldn't step over his own 2 feet without tripping. And then he goes to Detroit. He's re-energized. Dan Campbell builds this offense around him, and you look what he's done. He's taken that team not only to the playoffs, but he's taken them to a division title. And the city of Detroit is believing again. And to me, what he's done, not as a quarterback, but what he's done as a leader of that team.
Yep. Now, MVP. Okay, I'm going to start with my dark horse. And I said this at the beginning of the season. Okay. At the beginning of this season, I said, if CJ Stroud gets the Texans into the playoffs, if CJ Stroud wins a division title, if CJ Stroud gets a top 5 seed in the playoffs, CJ Stroud could win the MVP in his rookie year. CJ Stroud's my dark horse, but my MVP is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. You have to give it to Dak. Coming off a 16 interception season to now the 2 seed, after scaring every single Cowboys fan in the country by losing to Josh Dobbs and the Arizona Cardinals, it's Dak. Which brings me to my point that I said, where if Dak is the MVP, Offensive Player of the Year is going to go to Lamar Jackson. If it's not Lamar Jackson, it could go to Tyreek Hill or it could go to CeeDee Lamb. But I'm going to have it be Dak MVP, Lamar Offensive Player of the Year.
Woo. Whoa, man. Now we're going to get into this. Okay.
And a reminder, we have 3 minutes and 50 seconds left on this, so got to be quick.
Very, very simple. My MVP, without a doubt, because of the career year that he's had this year, second to his rookie season when he went 13-3. You got to give MVP to Dak Prescott for what he's done in Dallas this year. His numbers, his touchdown to interception ratio, how he's played the game and adjusted this year, and where he has the Dallas Cowboys right now. Like you said, yes, we do have the easiest path to the playoffs, but I believe the way that Dak's playing with that offense, their points per game, they're averaging 40 points per game on average. And 16-0 at home consecutively, you can't take that away. So my MVP is Dak. And with that said, Tyler, if I may take a second to acknowledge one of your college friends there, one of your buddies. I want to give props to AJ Weston. I was at the game this week, like you were, when he scored his 1,000th career point. Phenomenal accomplishment, phenomenal athlete. And as you know, AJ is such an inspiration to the rest of his team, the players around him. He makes everybody better. So congratulations, AJ. Keep reaching for the stars, kid, and reach for your goals and your dreams. And I just want to say to you, Tyler, in closing, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. This was a great show today. Loved every minute of it. My Super Bowl pick, I'm going to give you real quick.
Wait, just a minute there. I'll give you mine. Okay. If I get shot at school for saying this, I love you. Okay. I think we get a Texas Super Bowl. I think we get Houston versus Dallas.
Ooh, man.
The odds of it happening are slim, but if it does happen, I told everybody that CJ Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in that draft class last year, and no one wanted to believe me. Everybody was Bryce Young this, Bryce Young that. Bryce Young couldn't even get above 9 points. He lost a game 9-0. So with that being said, my Super Bowl picks are the Texans and the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, that's stretching it a little bit, picking the Texans to go to Super Bowl. It's not far stretched. I'm just going to go very simple. The way that I see it, it's going to be your Dallas Cowboys against the Baltimore Ravens. Dallas Cowboys show. Mr. Jackson, what's happening? Dallas wins the Super Bowl this year. 27-23. Game, set, match. Your Super Bowl champions are going to be your Dallas Cowboys. The 49ers are getting bounced.